Hey y'all, I'm Wilson. Welcome to my little shop here. Got a bunch of stuff going on in here. I got some project cabinets right there. I'm gonna do some videos on them, but that's for another time. Right now I'm gonna do another layout video. Last video I did was I did a layout for y'all, the side view of a kitchen cabinet or a base and a wall cabinet. Y'all bear with me. It's late at night. I'm stumbling over my words here. It's about time for me to run in here and go to bed. But I wanted to do another video real quick before I did. I've got right here, this is a top view on some kitchen base cabinets. Like I say, the last video I did was a side view of a kitchen base and wall. We went over all the measurements on that, the heights, and how I build cabinets, little stuff like that. So I figured that video did pretty good. I had some good reactions to it, so I'm gonna keep on doing more of the same here. I got a little corner view here. And like I say, I am just stumbling over my words here. Let me get y'all over on this little camera stand. I'm gonna kind of go over the measurements on this and how I do everything. Then I'm gonna bring y'all back down. We'll try to make this kind of quick and painless here. But I also wanted to, I got this layout here, this particular layout. I wanted to go over a real common mistake that a lot of beginners, a lot of inexperienced cabinet makers make. And that is when you're coming into the corner like this. Most of the time, if you're doing a face frame cabinet, it depends on the size of your face frame. Standard, around here, what we do is 2-inch wide face frame material. 3 inches thick, 2-inch wide face frame material. If you use a 2-inch wide piece in the corner, you're going to end up getting your drawer fronts together so tight that when you open this one, it's going to end up hitting the knob on the other one. And I've seen that in so many jobs. A lot of jobs I've went to, which are little small rinky-dink jobs, remodel jobs. I go in there and I see where they've ended up cutting the drawer fronts so they would miss the knobs. I had to do the same thing in my house. I'm not sure who built the cabinets, which I think they were just cabinets that were kind of pieced together in there. We put new doors on them, and when we put new doors, I had to finagle the drawer fronts to make them work because they had everything too tight in there. Like I say, that's a real common mistake. You got to really watch that. And that's where it helps, where doing a layout helps with a lot of stuff, especially when you're a beginner, because right now I've got it drawn in. Base cabinet, 24 inches to the front of the face frame. Then you've got a 3/4 inch thick drawer or door. And that drawer or door, either one, is going to stick off the face frame. By the time you put your bumpers on the back of it, you got your hinges on the door, you put bumpers on the drawer, it's going to be off the face frame about 1/8 of an inch. So you're looking at that drawer being 24 7/8 to the front. From the wall to the front of your drawer front, you're looking at 24 7/8. A lot of times your knobs, your pulls, they're roughly about 1 inch as far as how far they stick out. It depends on what type of drawer. Like if this is a shaker door or a flat panel drawer front, that knob's going to be another 3/8 in because it's going to go to the panel. If it's a slab, it's going to be right on the outside. You'll have the full thickness, but you got to watch out for your thickness. That knob, that pull can be 1 inch thick. It can be 1.25 inches. It can be 1.5 inches. Depends on what you get. But right now I've got it drawn in as 1 inch. So I would have 24 7/8 to the front of that drawer front Another inch would make it 25 7/8, almost 26, to where that knob is. So you can do that and then come right here, and 26 is right there. I don't know how good y'all can see, but that actually gives me an 1.5 inches of clearance. My drawers do a 1/2 inch overlay, and I use a 4-inch. I use a 4-inch side style where it goes into the corner. That 4 inches is a little bit more than it needs, but it also helps out if you happen to have a dishwasher. Dishwasher is going to stick out roughly, depends on the model, what it is, but it might stick out 2.5 past the face frame. So that would be 26.5, so that would be right there. So that still gives you an inch clearance from the front to the dishwasher, which, like I say, it depends on what brand dishwasher and all that. They're different as far as how far they stick out. That you can get those that are flush inset and all that, but none of that matter on what I'm talking about right now. You need to make sure you've got clearance for everything. Another thing you've got to watch out for when you've got a corner like this, your stove. If you've got a freestanding stove, it's going to stick out a good bit further than this. I can't remember exactly how deep the stoves are, but they'll stick out probably 28, 29 inches off the wall at least. And if your stove is real close into the corner, your drawer is going to hit it when you open it up. I've seen one job where I had to open the oven door to be able to pull the drawer front forward and just finagle it just to be able to pull the drawer out of the cabinet. But anyway, that's that. That's like I say, that's what I was going to go over. You don't want to jam everything up so tight into the corner to where it don't work. You need to make sure you got clearance. If you're a beginner, doing a layout really helps out. And like I was saying on the last video I did, I've done my layout. I did it in a Sharpie so y'all could see. But when you're doing your layout, you need to get your measurements, do it in a number 2 pencil, make sure it's good and sharp so you can get more accurate measurements. Alright, now, back on to how I actually build cabinets. Or, this is a basic way of building cabinets. I've built them like this. I do it a little different now. But this is just a basic, simple, cheap way to do cabinets. Finished in, I do a 3/4 finished in, 3/4 face frame. I've got it marked off here, 2-inch side style. And this cabinet goes all the way to the wall. This is what we call a return cabinet. It means the other cabinet butts into it. This cabinet has a return. Some people call it a blind corner. It depends on where you're at, what region you're in. People call it different things. Around here, we say this is the return cabinet. It makes the turn. But anyway, this frame goes all the way to the wall. I've got a half inch plywood end for my wall end. And I leave a 1/2 inch ear. When I say ear, what I mean by ear, that is how far the face frame sticks past the end. When you've got a wall end or when you've got cabinets that butt to each other, it's best to leave you a little gap, a little space. If you need to trim anything, you can trim that ear. A lot of times installing, the wall might be out of square. Like this corner here. If you're working this corner here, if this wall is out of square this way, you might need to trim some off of that ear or some off of this ear, whatever you've got to do to make everything work out with the measurements you got to have. You got to make sure you know your sink center and keep everything where it's just right. But that's the reason we do an ear on cabinets, so that you have a little room that you can trim. Now me, well, I've got this I'm showing it just a butt joint onto the ends. But for me right now, I've got me a way where I can spray everything and then put everything together after it's finished. So what I will do is I'll dado my ends into my frame, and I will use 1/2 inch ends, dado them in. I still use a 3/4 finished end, but what I do is I do me a 1/2 inch end and leave a 3/4 ear, and then I'll V-groove. I put a little 45 chamfer on the back of the face frame and on the front of my finished end, and I apply the finished end after it's all painted and everything. Excuse me there, but I got a couple of videos already showing how I build cabinets, and I'm just probably confusing the hell out of y'all trying to tell y'all what I do on that. Anyway, this is just a standard way to build. This is go into the wall, like I say, return cabinet. This is a cabinet that butts into the return. So I put a 4-inch side stile right there. That keeps it 4 inches off. My drawer front is a 1/2 inch overlay, so that gives me 3.5 inches clearance for dishwashers, drawers, anything like that. This cabinet I've got drawn in as wall to wall or wall to cabinet. It's the same, works out the same either way, so I just say wall to wall. 1/2 inch ear, 1/2 inch end, 1/2 inch ear, 1/2 inch end, and then right here you can see where I've got these X's right here. That is a piece of 3/4 that is 2.5 inches wide. Run it from front to back. That's what I call cleat. Nailed into the end with this pre-finished plywood. A lot of times I'll put some screws in them. Like I say, I've got some videos showing how I build cabinets if you want to look back and see. But for now, this is my cleat. It goes from the back of the face frame to right here. And this is another 3/4 board that is 2.5 inches wide. But I've got it running up and down. This is what I call my back nailer. I use that to screw the cabinets to the wall. I screw through that back nailer to screw the cabinets to the wall, and then I've got a 1/4 inch back that goes over top of that. Now I've got my drawer. I've got the actual drawer box drawn in here too. When you're doing a layout, you don't have to go so far with it. Just go as far as you need to figure out what you've got to do. I drew the drawer box in to kind of give y'all a visual so you can see. I've got it drawn in at 21 inches deep. Like I say, y'all bear with me. I am stumbling all over my words here. It's late at night. I'm just about ready to go to bed. But anyway, back to what I was on. My drawer box, 21 inches deep. That's standard size for undermount tracks. So if you've got anything in front, like your stove or anything like that, make sure that from the front of the face frame, you've got 21 inches, because it's a full extension. It's going to come right out to the front of that face frame. Make sure you've got 21 inches plus 3/4 for the front. So that's 21 3/4 that this drawer needs to be able to pull out without anything interfering with it. That's the basics. That's the basics. Like I say, 24-inch deep base cabinets. Deep is when I say from the wall to the front of the cabinets. And I think that's just about everything. Let me get y'all off of here. I probably got y'all all confused as hell. Like I say, it's late at night. I just wanted to get out here, and while I had this on my mind, I wanted to go over it with y'all. Alright, this is what I got. That's where I was saying. I've got the 1/2 inch end, the 2.5 inch wide cleat, That's my face frame. I'm showing my 2-inch side style. My top rail is continuous. That's going to be my 1/2-inch ear right there. Cabinet that's this long. I've got it drawn in 48 inches long. Excuse me there. That heartburn is killing me tonight. I put a cleat in the middle. It keeps the face frame from bowing out when it gets so long. It holds it better when it screws to the wall. Holds it square. You need a little support in the middle when it gets so long. Then I'm showing my 2.5-inch cleat right here. This is the line for my drawer box. It's under the cleat. And then right here, it's not. Like I say, I didn't have to draw all that in. I just kind of wanted to get y'all as good a visual as I could. That would be my 3/4 finished end. You always flush, I always flush my finished ends out. I've seen a lot of people that would leave a 1/4-inch ear on their finished ends. I don't like that. I don't like doing that. I like it to either flush out. Well, I like it to flush out. And like I say, if I'm doing it my way, I like to have my little V groove, and I like to be able to put it on and off. A lot of people will do, if most people are skinning out their ends, they'll do a 1/4-inch skin. I can't stand to do a 1/4-inch skin on the cabinet. It just don't, to me it just don't go on right. It's a little bit more money for 3/4, but it just works out so much better. But anyway, I'm getting way off the subject. That's my back nailer right there. That's my 1/4-inch back, you can see. There's the gap where the 1/2-inch ear would be. And that is my center rail. That's what I haven't went over here, is that center rail. Because it's got to have 4 inches out on it too. Now what I will do is I will make this 5 inches. My base cabinet here is 24 to the front. So I will do a 2-inch side style. And then from there, 21 inches. That ends up being 23 inches from the wall to the side of that center style. And then I've got my 3/4 frame that butts into it right there. Gives me a little bit of room to adjust if I need to. I can pull it forward a little bit. And then that leaves me to there. That leaves 4 inches. My 1/2-inch overlay on my drawer front gives me 3.5 from the drawer front to the front of the other cabinet. That's the top view, but when I build that frame, this is what it would look like. Just a rough drawing on this. Side stiles go all the way. Top and bottom rail go all the way, and that center style is in between the top and bottom rail. And then of course I've got the drawer rail on this one. We don't have a drawer rail here because that's a return cabinet and we just don't need it. Alright, I hope I have not confused everybody so bad. I know I've stayed up so late here, I got myself confused. But anyway, I'm going to get off of that. I'm going to sit down for a minute and kind of watch this video again to see if it's even worth posting on YouTube. But hell, I don't too much care if it's worth it or not. I'm going to stick it on there anyway. Anyway, I'm going to get on off of here. I sure do appreciate everybody that's been watching. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed. Since my last video, I actually jumped up like 9 subscribers. When you're like me, I only have, 400 and right now I've got 464 subscribers. So when you've got when you're that low on the subscribers, every time somebody new subscribes and you see it pop up on the little app, it's kind of a little excitement there. It's like, woo, look at that. Got a new one. But yeah, I'm just getting goofy here, so I'm gonna watch this video, see if it's good enough to put on here. I'm gonna get off of here, and all y'all that have subscribed, I really appreciate it. And maybe I won't be so half asleep on the next video that I can be a little bit more coherent. I appreciate it, y'all. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you on the next one.